Okay. Today, followed again. They're still driving by. They never give up. Pesky burgers. Okay. Unreal. I went and talked to my friend for a moment. Black SUV pulls it. Sits off to the side, waits for him to leave. So then I sit down in my vehicle and I start rambling through everything. He looks over and said, "They told on her before? Is that why we're not allowed to say anything to her?" And pulls out. I'm like, "Ironically?" Okay. Seriously. Oh my God. Okay, I told you in the other video I figured out how they did it. Dave stole the $5,000 to $6,000 from the safe. He was going to get rid of me, and he didn't know how to do it. They had met. My neighbor said that she had seen guys out watching my house for a while and leave and come back for a long time. Well, I heard voices while I was renovating, and then being idiots, they were scratching up my car at Lennox. Okay? And he was having them keep an eye on me and stalk me. Okay? All right. And so then by fall, his girlfriend must have told him the one where I can't, that he had to go ahead and kill me. Or I caught him crying in the other room. And then, bragging to my grandson that I wouldn't be around anymore and he wouldn't have a grandma anymore. Okay? That he'd better enjoy me now. And scare that little boy till, I talked to like two other people on the phone trying to get him to calm down. So then, leaving to work early, and I thought he was cheating. Gonna have my daughter-in-law follow him. Thank God she didn't. He got caught with pot in the system where he was around the person smoking pot that he hired that man to kill me. The attempt to break in at Lennox made the mistake with the Perry police that they knew where the security system and other comments put him right in the middle of it, main subject of the attempt to break in. And it's documented. Okay? And then where my oldest son John, we drop off the bikes with permission leaving the house with the great big name tags on them for each child and from Grandpa Dave and Grandma Karen. And then when we go back, some other lady in the church bought it for him. My ex and I talk about it on tape. It was probably his girlfriend trying to smooth out the grandkids. And then March, where our house is up for sale, telling me, wanting to know when I was going to leave, insisting I go this certain way until he's having a cow. And then followed around and the officer said if I wouldn't have my foot on the brake, he would have rolled me. And he knew he was up to something. And couldn't let me go home alone. Made Dave come home. And where everybody kept saying I should know this Savannah. And I knew her parents had never had a problem with it. And she's young enough to be Dave's granddaughter. I looked it up and it was her Facebook friend. And I'm like, what would she have to do with anything? I didn't know for months later. And then I helped my one ex-friend clean out her apartment. And then a van pulls up, side door goes open, and the man tries to kidnap me in front of her. And I barely got away. Then we sell our house and we move up to Ravenna. And we went down to get a load and went to Maslin Walmart. And on the way back, he insisted on following me instead of going ahead with the trailer and the truck. And on the back way from narrow way from Maslin and from Walmart, This white car ahead of me turns sideways, steps out. Jeans, cowboy boots, white man with black hair, the same profile of the man I got her that just tried to kidnap me. I start flooring it in reverse because he blocked the whole road. And I'm like, where are you? And I turned down the side road. And I went, what do you mean? And I'm flooring backwards. He's reaching back in to grab something. And then as cars started coming towards us, he stepped back in, straightened up his car, and peeled out. And I'm screaming at the top of my lungs when he went to reach back in to grab something off the dashboard. And I'm like, where are you? I turned down a side road. He didn't catch up to me for 12 miles. Okay? About 10, 12 miles. He took off that fast and had no intent to come back. Okay? He's so mad. Those 4 attempts have not worked, that when we go to get a load and get our bed out of storage, that for just a comment, he hits me in the face and breaks my teeth. And I'm like, why? You learn not to smart off to me. Okay? He, he storms off to the store. And I found out February 25th, 22, one of my old neighbors, you know how you see people, you don't know them, but you know where they see your neighbors out in their cars. He was like about 3 houses down off of John Thomas where I lived. He had come down to the Canton area, was following me around. He walks in, he's like, I'm tired of this. Those undercover police called Will and lied to him that she was lying, so he wouldn't help her. Her ex-husband showed up at his store, said he didn't want her anymore, and he'd been trying to get rid of her for a while, and asked all those people to help in that store. And it's been them doing it the whole time. And some guy found out what she lived through and thought it was amazing and wanted to meet her, and I told him to go ahead and do it. They went on Box Vito. He had enough arrogance and gall to a town that I hadn't lived, 10.3 miles out of town, or 6 miles out of town, go into a store that he hadn't been there 3 days and ask complete strangers to help kill me. If he wouldn't have ran into retired Judge Pete and some drug dealers and their dirty friends, most people would have called 911. Right? And then they get together with a cult that was his church for him to get everything. Come up with this crazy scam that within 2 or 3 days we come home from getting another load. And the front door's knocked in to the wall. You can scratch off the paint and you'll see it. Where there's a big patch the size of an orange. He's like, I think another realtor passed out keys, and I bought it. Because there's a big screen TV, nothing is missing. Other realtors can't have keys. There can be a lockbox on the front, but they can't pass out somebody else's key. They're manually responsible. They can have a lockbox and give them a code, but they can't just pass out keys. I fell for it. So they could set up their dirty cameras. His new girlfriend that he met at the store, her dirty friends and her drug dealer friends, maybe some crooked cops, right? And with that call, came up with this crazy scam. Let me work all summer long on that house. Okay? Until I got it done. And the last part was the flower beds on our anniversary. And it's so hot, I just want him to drop the mulch. And he gets in a mad fury and spews it out that him and Jack had a plan since March because I wouldn't give up everything willingly. Okay? So I look for a job and I get hired as an assistant manager. Okay? Annie, of district manager of Advanced America, was going to send me to this one store and send me to another, and the other girl shows up and costs me that job. And when they verify it was me, they try to give it back, but it was too weird. Okay? So I wouldn't have a way to support myself to move out. So I'd be trapped. Okay? That's the 18th of September of 18. The one girl, Sarah, at Zale Stroller, her manager was a heavyset blonde lady, and another dark-haired girl that was heavyset had just moved over to work with Katie Brothers uh, at her jewelry store. Okay? And they had came up to me. Karen, we're scared. She said that she's got a plan. Her church has a plan to kill you. And she said they've got a permanent plan to do away with you. And they're going to teach you a lesson you never forget. And they got people to kill you. And they're like, you need to call the police or a detective. It's not funny. It's not the first time she said it. We all go out to eat, and the way she said it, it's sick. And she keeps talking about it. And we're scared for you. My ex heard them talk about it, and I taped him part of the police investigation during to get him to admit that he knew it. Well, dear God, Kitty was still bragging while they were trying to kill me that it was them. Clear into January, they thought they paid enough people off. They could just kill some people in front of people and left. Nobody would help them. Okay? So, now, the next day, I call my one ex-friend, and she's talking. No, I had just cost me that. She had just cost me, some lady cost me my job. Well, money had disappeared. So I thought he had been cheating. And when she's talking about watching this lady's child for $10 an hour, and the way she was describing, and I thought, I wonder if that's his girlfriend and what he did with the money. And she had me on the counter, and she still doesn't know I know. And I could hear her knocking. She's like, she's here, I'll let you go. And I thought I should hang up, but I'm going to listen. She left me on the counter, not 5 feet from the door. Guess who was on the phone with? You're kidding. I almost tricked her into coming down to prayer, but those 2 men would show up and take care of her. It's not like anybody in the church would help her. You know they pay people to know where she's at. I could have used the money. I actually told her I'd step in for prayer for her, as if. I couldn't believe it came out of my own mouth. Well, that's about as bad as Kaylee. She used another minister because Keith charged too much money. Well, you know who was in that meeting to hire those 2 men to kill her. It was Keith Bishop, Strange, and Ron. And they took up $25,000 to have her murdered because Ron wants her dead because she got wealthier as kid died. And I guess. And I hung up. 2003, Ron's son and his father-in-law had went to a church baseball game, and he ran a stop sign, and a semi hit him. It's Phil's fault. Oh, family wasn't even near there. We had nothing to do with anything. And I had been sick for years, and months later I got well. I got documents. I had sick MRI reports, blood work, scars. I just happened to get well. And Strange is a cult leader, and he controls people with his lies. He had told people I was faking I was sick and faking I got well to hurt Ron while he was grieving. He was still telling it 15 years later. Okay? And then that guy's like a millionaire. Okay? And he's crazy. But, so I overhear that. I'm in a panic. Well, Dave arrogantly grabs me in the middle of the night. I love you, but I love her more. I heard a man to slit your throat, stab you in the heart. You'll bleed out, Karen. And I got a man to put a bullet in you if you want. For 30 minutes, he held me in the cold, dark night, rubbing his beard into my face and squeezing me and kissing me until the point it was turning him on. Then rolled over like he thought it was funny. He tried to claim it was a vivid dream. It was no vivid dream. He was very much awake. He was sick. Well, that's like the 20th. Okay, so the 21st I have to go get something for dinner, and I just go up to the local Giant Eagle 11 miles away because we lived way out in the country. He calls me, where are you at? I'm buying something for dinner. I got a phone call to make. Okay? Don't go. And then I see they're giving flu shots and realizing I need to move out. And I'm just going to go ahead and get it while I'm here. Okay? And I got dizzy and I sat down on the bench and I heard their voice. I can't believe she's here. And it was the same voice of, I got her. Then when the hood went up over his head and he chased me across the parking lot. And I barely got away. I'm like, oh my God. I walk off by the ATM. He comes up and threatens to knife me. And I get away from him. And I go to open an account. The Pizza Hut lady, I get paid to watch her. Banker's yelling at her, stay out of it. And they go back and forth and back and forth. And the guy that tried to kidnap me, tried to carjack me, just threatened to knife me and walks off and around. And she walks off too. Dave calls me. And I won't let him know that I knew he just did that. So I put him on hold and I wait a long time and leave with the group. Okay, so I freak out and I go down to Walmart. And I drive that far down. When I went to pump gas, an African American lady spat in my face. And her white boyfriend were harassing me. And another man with black hair, dark eyes, and an eagle tattoo came up. What a shame. With no expression and no light in his eyes. And I got away from that freak. Okay? I go home, and he's at the end of the driveway. My girlfriend's rich and powerful. Her family owns the police. You won't be able to withstand. I told him it wasn't a communist country. Nobody owns the police. And I thought, dear God, it's been them the whole time. Here, he wanted everything, okay? And I just thought he was cheating. And all, it's one thing when one bad thing happens, not four. And it's been them the whole time. And now I'm out in the middle of nowhere. So I made a mistake and I called the FBI. I thought I should have called the police. Okay? And where I called the hotline, and I give that lady like 70% of that shit. And I told him, I said, where that Savannah, that Jack, where he got smart with me, that Jack and him have plans since March. Her dad's name's Jack and her father's name Jack, which is Harold Strange's brother. And I didn't know there was a hit up my life. I couldn't figure out why she would be involved. And it's during, and I told the hotline that, and I told him about Annie and gave him Annie's phone number. I gave him the following rounding and the other Perry police report of the attempted break-in. I gave them, Sarah, where the two ladies worked with Katie, that they all heard it, that it was them trying to kill me. I told them about the What a Shame guy. I told them about Dave holding me down. I may have left the attempted kidnapping guy up because I was loopy, because I kept having bruises I couldn't explain, and dizzy on drinks. And I couldn't understand why I kept getting banged up, and I was so sick before. I told you, within 2 weeks of that door being broken, where I could mow the lawn at Lennox like nothing, I could only do like 2 strips. And I get dizzy and have to sit down. And that's how I ended up meeting my one neighbor, the house before mine. Some guy said, I've watched you struggle mowing that lawn. I'm a nurse and I can just mow it for you. And he rode his lawnmower around for me because I kept getting too dizzy. I couldn't even do 2 strips of mowing. They had me so drugged up within the first 2 weeks and I couldn't figure out what's wrong with me because they were date rape drugging me. Okay? Thinking they're funny. Stalking me, photoshopping shower scenes, date rape drugging me. That's not funny. Okay. And so we're all of a sudden, after I get done with the hotline, we'll have an agent call you back. Okay? I can't get out of bed. I remember waking up the next day and my phone ringing and looking over at the phone thinking, who is it? And falling back to sleep. Then waking up and listening to voicemail, this is Agent Will, da 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 da. I need you to call me back. And I remember going, I can't go back to sleep. Getting up with my ex-husband and eating something small for dinner and going back to bed. And the next day I couldn't get up either. Third day, I make myself get up and I feel like I'm drunk and my head's spinning and I thought, I gotta get air. I gotta think how to handle this. And I thought, well, maybe if I mow the lawn, I'll get blood pumping, something to think. And then I thought, oh, I'll call Sarah. I mentioned her to the hotline and, those other ladies. I'll call her and ask her. Of course, Karen, I'm scared for you. She keeps talking about it, okay? And then I go out and buy a card, put Walt's number, and call him back. Take it out to sales, or my new manager puts it in her locker, and then we go up to Apostolic Church of Barberton. Paul Paymer got in these days, my God, I had an FBI agent in my office. He's right there, and what is this? With you bringing an FBI agent up here on threats on her life, what is going on between you two? And I walk off, and then Dave comes in, let's go, and then threatens me, my life on the way home, and swinging, trying to hit me until I'm on the doorknob, and I had to run from him when I got home. The next day, my head is spinning, and there's men outside mocking me for having a copy of my phone, mocking me. Because I kept notes under me in a crossword puzzle, in case he opened my phone, because so many things were happening. And while I'm talking to Will, he's rude, intimidating, and even cruel. I went to tell him about Huntington Bank, and he called me a liar. And he could have went and pulled the surveillance. It's right by the ATM. They have tapes and audio. I worked in a restaurant about 17 years ago. We had a little VCH camera, our recorder, and a little VHS tape, little cameras in the corner. And it could pick up somebody insulting you across the room. 17 years ago. Thinking now. Yeah. And there's the banks and Giant Eagles. Okay? And then because I've got all this shit on him, 2 police reports, 3 witnesses, that is them trying to kill me. He can't just let this go. And when I went to tell him some more stuff, I need a witness. And I told him about Sarah. Well, he didn't need a witness. He had the hotline report. Okay? And then he says something else, and then he lists me a informant, makes all these big promises, never intend to ever help me. Okay? You tell someone, I'll list you crazy. Why would you tell a victim within a call saying they're going to kill her? People are showing up and tell her if she tells someone, you'll list her crazy. So she has to stay quiet and die. Instead of, a normal statement. My God, Karen, do you want me to hide you? Do you have anything else on them? Right? Because that would be normal. Or if they find out, I'll just pull you out and hide you. Or do you want to go now? And we'll watch them. Yeah. August 10th, in the end, that's what they did do, is pay Will off. August 10th or 11th, 22 Walmart 62. Michelle's dragon-head mother shows up. She's got a bad habit of breaking. Okay? I go in by this hair salon, and she's in there mocking me. And she's like, we called Will. We explained to Michelle. And he understood, and he set it up that no one would ever help her. And it's funny. They're actually going along with it instead of doing the right thing and help her. Setup. The whole thing was a setup. It's exactly what they did. He took the money, had people watch me. They were scratching up my car, being assholes, got an ADT system. They waited till they came up with a plan. And then him bragging to my grandson he wouldn't have a grandmother anymore. Made him cry as the 10-year-old, and to the point he was hysterically crying. Okay? Trying to even call other people, trying to convince them that I'd be okay. Okay? And then meeting with the guy that bought in the system. The attempt to break in that was foiled. And then his girlfriend taking credit for my bikes, getting good with the grandkids, right? That's a whole nother girlfriend, because he didn't meet Michelle till Ravenna. So, yeah. Alright, so, and then the following rounding, tell me go a certain way. That church has a hit on my life, and there's a direct attempt. They didn't know why, figure out what he was up to. Well, that's what he was up to. And then the attempted kidnapping, attempted carjacking. And by then, he's so furious. I'm not dead. He hits me with a border face. The arrogance and gall to walk into a town you've only lived 3 days outside the town and knows nobody and ask him to help kill me. That arrogance and gall. If he wouldn't have ran into drug dealers with a retired judge that was in it with them, they would have called 911. And he should have been arrested for a conspiracy to commit murder. Yeah. And then coming up the scam of knocking in my door, watching me, date rape, drugging me, and then I guess putting a shower scene in the other room because they're assholes. And thinking they're funny. It's not a messable one anyways. But because police and agencies can only be in a home under threat of life, and failure to notify for initiating is abuse and misconduct, and failure to protect is abuse and misconduct, which goes into the right of privacy, illegal search and seizure. Yeah. It's illegal. It's the Fourth Amendment. And then have them all attack me. And my damn luck, they got a hold of Will before I did and cut a deal. And just because Will was corrupt doesn't mean retired Judge Pete can pay everybody off not to do their damn jobs. No one went to jail for any of this except for the stalkers. Nobody else. They were even bragging that it was them trying to kill me while they were trying to shoot me in the head driving the gunshot night. The stalkers. That it was all them. Clear into January of 19. Thinking they were paid enough people, they could kill people in front of them. And no one would stop them. Nobody's that rich. Nobody's that rich. Somebody had called Will a paid-off dirty agent in March of 19. And I didn't understand what they were talking about. I didn't. At one point, I was just so grateful to be alive. And for the security guards and the undercover police that did show up. And for the investigators that chased off stalkers. And I call them my protected life people, my security guards. And because without them, I wouldn't be alive. But I lived through a concentration camp set up by those people. And that agent purposely left me up there to die. And where he was corrupt. And he's retired. People need to do the right thing and prove to Judge Pete he cannot commit in his little fucked up world, commit extortion within a cult, premeditated attempt to murder on me and my son's family, and make money off of it and pay people to walk away. Nobody's that rich. And people need to make up for what happened and where Will was 100% corrupt. Because you wouldn't tell a witness. You tell someone unless you're crazy, why would you do that to a victim that their life is threatened? What if that guy went after me and I had to run to a house? Huh? I was even too scared to do a police report. Well, I had police everywhere. I mean, I didn't have to do a police report. Most of the people were undercover police around me anyways, documenting everything, because to cover his ass, he opened a state case, had a cop go talk to Dave, listed me informant, and had no intention of helping me, and just left it alone. But now it's all documented in that state case. It's like the Amish man with the beards. Several police departments work it. Of all the horror I lived through from those people up there. And I think they're so stupid. Up there, they thought it was just located in Portage County. Aslan works it. They watched Dex and my daughter-in-law because Max put a threat in their life, and they tamper with their vehicles. So when I go in, if I need to know something, and a Maslin officer in uniform would come out and say something, North Canton Jackson police have said something, Stark County sheriffs, Minerva undercover police, and some of the Canton officers, and even the Canal Fulton. It's a police investigation. He turned it over to the police, protected home custody for an informant, had a cop talk to Dave, which made it legal. I was found innocent and everything and carrying around the house. Told you, my one daughter-in-law was friends with Michelle. Mean games and pretend, giggle. But with the Protect Your Life case, everybody's fooling around. Got caught telling them to make up all kinds of mean lines and laugh and tell Flora on Thanksgiving of 18 that they wanted the house for Auntie Shell and Papa, and I needed to get out, and then they're making everything up. And they're, as Maslin police put it, documented mean games and pretend. That's where Dixie and I talk about. I said, you know that mean game or pretend they made up and that Flora's laughing at? She's like, yeah, I remember it. Flora thought it was funny. She didn't know any better. She's only 7. But, oh my gosh, there's no way in hell where I disappeared for 3 days and I didn't call him back and there's all that shit going on. They didn't come looking for me. And they didn't find out that they had dirty cameras stalking me and it was Dave's girlfriend's family. And they had a call. And they didn't find out that man went to Paymer. And they had a copy of my phone so they could listen to everything I said and did. And, yeah, right, he didn't find out any of this. Or he wouldn't have been so cruel and so mean. And they discovered his ass by doing the informant thing. Because he couldn't just leave people threatening lives in malls and to attempts. He just did a little and no intent to help. Because they paid him off. Where he was corrupt. People do need to make it right. Because you got to think, you're leaving a victim you're never going to help. You can't ask for help. And you can't tell me they weren't already following me within 3 days. And then go up to that Pamers and watch that guy impersonate a federal officer and tell on me. And you couldn't, yeah, within 3 days. You can't tell me they didn't know they had that house bugged and found me drugged up in bed. You can't tell me they didn't know about the judge's daughter and about the guys on the other side having a copy of my phone. And that called. You can't tell me they didn't know any of this. That's fucking bullshit. I swear like the men that would watch me. They swore like sailors, and so did their children. But they think very highly of me. Can't insult me in front of them. I need someone to